Okay, let's go.
All right, check this out. $300 million. Just let that sink in for a second. That's how much money heavyweight champ Mike Tyson earned over his career. I mean, that is a staggering, life-changing amount of cash. And now, look at this number, negative $30 million. Yeah, you're seeing that right. That was Mike Tyson's net worth when he declared bankruptcy. He went from making $300 million to being $30 million in the hole. How? How on earth does that even happen? And that right there, that's the whole point of what we're talking about today. See, it's not just about what you earn, is it? It's about what you keep. So what's the real secret here? What's the thing that separates just making money from actually building wealth? Well, we're going to get into it. This is what I call the money paradox. You'd think, hey, if I just made more money, all my problems would disappear, right? But it's just not true. Get this, there is a study that found that even for people making over 100 grand a year, 1 out of every 10 of them was still living paycheck to paycheck. So clearly a bigger shovel isn't the answer if you have a hole in your bucket. What's really going on? Okay, to really get this, we have to kind of reset our brains. We've got to change how we think about money at a really basic level. So let's ask a simple question. What is money? I mean, really? It's more than just paper or a number in your banking app. Here's the best way I found to think about it. Money is just an expression of value. That's it. It's a tool. When you get paid, your boss is giving you money in exchange for the value you created for the company. When you buy a cup of coffee, you're giving the shop money for the value they created for you. It's not good, it's not evil, it's just a neutral measuring stick for value. So, okay, money is value. Big deal, right? Well, yeah, it actually is a huge deal. Because once you see it that way, you can build a super simple but really powerful framework for your entire financial life. And it all comes down to just 2 things, production and consumption. Think of it like this. On one side of the scale, you have production. That's all the value you create for the world. It's your income. On the other side, you have consumption. That's all the value you use up. That's your expenses. And your net worth? It's nothing more than the grand total of your production minus your consumption over your entire life. Simple as that. So what counts as production? Well, the most obvious one is your 9-to-5 job, for sure. But it's so much more than that these days. It could be a side hustle you start, a YouTube channel where you share your knowledge, or even an app you build to solve a problem people have. Anything where you're creating value for someone else, that's production. And then, of course, there's consumption. We're all experts at this one, right? It's your Netflix account, your car payment, your rent, that morning coffee, literally every single thing you spend money on. It's the value you're taking out of the system for your own use. And this is where we need to redefine something huge, the rat race. We all think the rat race is just, having a 9-to-5 job, but that's not it at all. The real rat race, that's when your consumption, your lifestyle, your debt gets so high that your job stops being a choice and becomes a necessity. You have to keep running on that wheel just to keep the lights on. That's the trap. So how do you escape? How do you get off the wheel? The very first step, and honestly the most important one, is to get a handle on your consumption. And this isn't really about spreadsheets and fancy software. It's about winning the battle that's happening inside your own head. There's this quote from Fight Club that just nails it. The things you own end up owning you. And it's so true. When we let our spending run wild, we become slaves to our stuff. We get trapped in jobs we can't stand just to pay for things we barely use. And this whole cycle is fueled by some sneaky little biases hardwired into our brains. First up is something called the ostrich effect. Have you ever had a weekend where you maybe spent a little too much and on Monday morning you're almost scared to open your banking app? Yeah, that's the ostrich effect. We literally bury our heads in the sand to avoid bad news, even when it's the one thing we really need to look at. Then you've got this other thing working against you called hyperbolic discounting. It sounds complicated, but it's simple. Our brains are incredibly impatient. That little jolt of happiness from buying new shoes right now feels way more real and exciting than some far-off fuzzy idea of being comfortable in retirement 30 years from now. The immediate win almost always feels better. And maybe the biggest one of all, social proof. Look, we're monkeys in shoes, right? We're wired to fit in. So when we see our friends, our family, our coworkers all buying the latest phone, taking fancy vacations, getting new cars, we feel this deep, primal pressure to keep up.
It's not even a conscious thought half the time. It's just this feeling that we're falling behind.
And this whole keeping up with the Joneses thing has been put on steroids. I mean, think about it. Back in the 50s, the Joneses were just the people who lived next door. Then in the 90s, maybe it was the characters on Friends. But now? Now the Joneses are literally everyone on the planet with an Instagram account. You're comparing your real life to billions of highlight reels 24 hours a day. It's an impossible game to win. So how do you fight back? How do you take back control? It's actually pretty straightforward. 3 steps. Number 1, awareness. You gotta know where your money is going. Period. Time to pull your head out of the sand. Number 2, control. Give your money a job. A simple budget isn't about restriction, it's about telling your money what you want it to do for you. And number 3, build a safety net. Get 3 to 6 months of expenses saved up. This is your buffer against life's curveballs, so one flat tire doesn't send you into a spiral. All right, so once you've started to get your consumption under control, and I mean only after you've started that process, then, and only then, does it make sense to focus on the other side, boosting your production.
And seriously, I can't say this enough. You have to do this first. Let's go back to Mike Tyson. The man had world-class, off-the-charts production, but his consumption was a raging inferno. It didn't matter how much he made. It's like trying to fill a bucket that's got a giant hole in the bottom. Earning more money won't fix the spending problem.
So, what does boosting production look like if it's not just about getting a raise? Well, it's about thinking a bit like an entrepreneur, and there's a simple recipe for it. First, find a problem people are willing to pay to solve. Second, create a genuinely good solution for that problem. Third, figure out how to sell that solution to lots of people. And today, the internet gives us this incredible leverage to do that on a massive scale. And hey, let me be super clear. This doesn't mean you need to go quit your day job. Not at all. In fact, your 9 to 5 is your base. It's your stable foundation of production. This is all about building on top of that, finding other ways, maybe on the side, to create even more value for people.
Okay, so let's tie this all together. Let's wrap this up into a simple framework that you can literally start thinking about the second this is over.
This is it. The whole game plan in one sentence. Your goal is to consistently live on less than you make, that's mastering consumption, while you work on creating as much value as you possibly can for other people. That's boosting production. You get those two things working together, that's the path. That's the secret. So I'll leave you with this one last question to chew on. You have to ask yourself, honestly, what game are you playing? Are you playing the game of looking rich, buying the fancy car, the big house, the clothes? Or are you playing the game of actually being rich, quietly mastering this balance between what you create and what you consume? It's your choice.